You're listening to Be the Exception podcast, episode 181. Today we are chatting with Lucy from Activo Club, here to chat with us all about adapted physical education for our autistic learners and learners that have needs and accommodations for PE. She is sharing with us a variety of different activities and the importance of making sure that we incorporate it into our daily routine and the program that she has started and seen the benefits from with her own child. So let's go ahead and jump on in to today's episode with Lucy.
Welcome to Be the Exception podcast. As teachers, each one of us has something that comes naturally to us that others would love to know more about. Throughout this podcast, we'll chat with amazing professionals and offer easily digestible tips that you can quickly implement in your classroom or business, helping you stand out with things you do really well. Your host, Dawn Ellis, is a qualified educational specialist with 10 years of special education experience, published journal articles, and was a state finalist for Elementary Teacher of the Year. Dawn provides tools for special education teachers to perform at their very best, helping deal with the frustrating daily obstacles of being an educator. She offers a roadmap of resources and strategies to make you a confident leader in your school and community. So if you're ready to start the conversation, learn from others, and grow together, you're in the right place. Now here's your host, Dawn Ellis.
Well, hey there. Welcome to another episode of Be the Exception podcast. My name is Dawn Ellis. I am a special educator of 15 years. I have my board certification and ed specialist in special ed, have taught in a variety of different special education settings, presented at many conferences, and I am so excited to be here with you today and chat with you about a brand new special education topic. As we jump into this month of October, I wanted to let you know about the fall and Halloween teacher tees that are available in my Etsy and TikTok shop designed for special educators just like you. But don't worry, I've also included tees for paraprofessionals and RBTs too, so that no one is forgotten in your classroom. Make sure and check those out, and also check out the Halloween bundle that is available in my TPT shop that is jam-packed with activities that you can use all October long that the kids will be highly engaged, and it's very low prep. If you're looking for curriculum to help you in your self-contained classroom, I also encourage you to make sure and check out the Exceptional Collective, which is a membership from Cultivating Exceptional Minds that has monthly trainings designed specifically for you as a special education teacher, templates as a special ed teacher to help you with your paperwork, as well as over 10 products that you can use for your curriculum for both reading, math, science, social studies, and even social emotional skills. It really is a one-stop shop for you and your curriculum, so you have what you need to teach the learners that you have, from errorless to even more difficult tasks. These things are adapted and accommodated for your learners and can really help you spend less time prepping and preparing and more time teaching and doing things you enjoy. So make sure and check out the Exceptional Collective, and let's go ahead and jump on in to today's episode. Hey there, everyone. Today we have a really neat guest here to chat with us all about adapted physical education for our learners, especially our autistic learners. So today, help me welcome Lucy here to chat with us. Hey, Lucy, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Don, for having me. I'm very excited, very happy to be here.
Yes, I am thrilled to have you on the show and chat just a little bit more about the specific area of making sure that our learners that may learn differently still have access to the same things that our typical developing peers have, such as physical education, and how we can make sure that we are having an experience that is positive for them. So for any of our listeners who may not know you, tell us a little bit about your story and how it's helped you become who you are today with Club, is it Activo?
Activo, right? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So tell us a little bit about who you are and this journey you're on.
Right. Thank you. So, first of all, I'm a mom. I'm a mother of three. I have a 15-year-old who's actually also in the autistic spectrum. I have a 14-year-old. Both of them are girls. I always wanted them to experience different sports and different abilities and different, after school activities. I have to say I've always been a mom who, I guess, ventures into different areas so that they can find, what they love and what their abilities are. And I have also a 5-year-old who was diagnosed with autism in 2 years ago, when he was almost 4. So I am a mom, and I am also a person who loves languages, loves travel. I have been teaching Spanish for foreigners for about 15 years, and I love my classes, and I love my students, and I love teaching because I also love learning. I'm one person who's always interested in learning new things. So that's I think the most important thing you have to know about me. That has to do with Club Activo, which is activo means active in Spanish, and that's what I created a year and a half ago, and I wanted to share with your listeners here what the program is about and why I think it's important to create similar programs everywhere for kids with disabilities, especially autism and HDID.
I love it. Awesome. Well, let's just jump into a little bit about this today, and hopefully it will help empower and educate our listeners to be more active and aware of this component of physical education. So tell us just a little bit about Club Activo and the benefits that it has on physical education and movement with our learners that have autism, ADHD, or even similar conditions.
That's correct. Yes. So I got my son's diagnosis when he was almost 4 years old. And one of my first concern as a mom was thinking about the future. And I know that many people can relate when you get a diagnosis and you think, what is the future going to look like for my boy? And what can I do to make it better, to make him happy, to make him reach his potential, and to help him be as independent as possible, right? Those are, I think, the most important things that go through your mind, through your head, and of course, what is the next step? So when I thought about Rodrigo, that's his name, being 12, 16, 20, 25, and I imagine him taller than me, stronger than me, and at that moment he had so many needs. He would go touch all the surfaces in a restaurant, for example, so we couldn't go out to eat at restaurants. He would start crying or screaming at one point at a time where I did not understand. My husband didn't understand, my kids didn't understand how we could help him. And without going further into the details of how his everyday looked like and how his personality was like a mystery to us, because we saw all this steaming and all these things that were basically what we needed to start therapy for and what we needed to start learning about and everything. I thought, he needs to have friends and he needs to have fun and he needs to be a kid besides the diagnosis. So and how am I going to help him achieve this, right, with all these other things that he's battling with and that we are learning how to deal with? Anyway, so I thought jumping and running inside the room seemed to be a thing that he enjoys doing or that he must do. It's like his body tells him, you have to jump or you have to run from the kitchen to the living room, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth many times. And I know many parents can relate because their kids with autism are probably doing the same thing right now in the living room, now that is a Sunday when we're talking, Don. And I thought, well, I better create an environment or take him to a place where he can run, and this is beneficial to him. So everybody knows that sports are great for you. They are great for your mind, they're great for your body, and they make you happy, right? When you are outside taking a walk, you bond with environment, and you relax, and your body moves, and all of that is good. So those were the basis of the idea of Club Activo. So I thought, I need a coach and more parents, and we could have, because I didn't want to do it alone. I also needed a circle, right? A circle of moms, a circle of parents to talk to and say, this happens, to my son. How have you dealt with this or that? I needed to meet more people also. So I thought, it's great to do things alone, take him for a walk, but I want to meet other people, and he needs friends, and there's no way I'm going to put him in a soccer class or a basketball program right now, because he doesn't follow instructions. My son's nonverbal. So all these difficulties that I saw were like potential for running and exercising and bonding with kids through play. Through play outdoors in a place that was a good place for sports. So anyway, that's the basis of the idea of having a program where it is like a PE class. They play with cones and hoops and small balls, and they learn to listen to the instructions. They take turns, have fun, and do kind of like a circuit, right? Sometimes they jump in 2 feet, and they do the hoops here and there, and then they do a zigzag, and then they throw the ball at the end at the small basket, and then the next one goes. After they've done it all together, then they take turns, then they do high five, to each other, so that they understand one goes first and the other goes second, and everybody cheers, for the others, and everybody understands what the different characteristics of each kid might be, without having the stress of being in an environment where neurotypical kids and parents of neurotypical kids do not understand what's going on, like the stimming, which is a very visible, trait sometimes. And so by hiring a coach who would be someone who loves sports and knows about, what the components of a good PE class could be, and who also understands disability, in this case, autism, we created a class where by the first week, and this is in a small city, Don, this is not a large city where I live. The first week that I posted this on Instagram, and I told the parents at the practice where I was taking my son for speech therapy and occupational therapy, we got 23 requests of people who wanted their kid between 4 and 8 years of age to participate in the class. And then I thought, this is bigger than I thought, I had imagined maybe 3 or 4 other parents would be interested, and I didn't know how many kids had autism in the city where I live. But now statistics say about 1 out of 70 kids, or I've heard 1 out of 100. Anyway, it is a large number of people in the population that have autism and HDAD, comes combined with the diagnosis. So sometimes I found this out through experience of being a mom of a son with autism, but we added, like you said at first, autism, HDAD, and similar conditions. So what has the program done? It has helped more than 100 kids now, and we opened it about 18 months ago.
Wow.
I have now 5 locations where a private university, a park owned by the state, and other institutions let me use the space of a sports court that has some sort of wall or division where we can kind of like gather them together.
Right.
In many cases, I looked for soccer, like this futsal or soccer 7 that is kind of like a smaller pitch, because it has walls around it. But a basketball court or some sort of area, a gym, an indoor gym would be also a great place. We have one class in an indoor gym and it works wonders. Because you don't want parents to be worried about the kid running away. And you might have a kid who is very impulsive and just, keeps running and never stops. So those are the places that we do the class at. But the kids have bonded together. The parents are having fun with their kids because the parents actively participate in each class. So you are there with your kid and you are going to have fun and do this instruction that the coach is going to tell you. Example, you're standing at the cone number 1, and then you have to run towards the other cone that's right in front of you. Go touch the cone and come back. Next time, maybe after you do this 3 times, they are going to have a small hoop in their hand. So don't let go of the hoop until you go to the other cone and you leave the hoop on that cone and then you come back. The next time you're going to pick it up, and so on and so forth, until the whole class starts doing, like I said, like a circuit or something that looks more like a fun, putting together all these abilities that you've been working throughout that class or many other classes. We do it weekly, and some kids have signed up for twice a week because the parents have, again, discover a way to have fun with their kids. Many male parents are participating because this is movement, right? This is sport. This is not therapy. This is something that you have to run and get down and up and pick things up and so they seem to enjoy it a lot. And they've said, Lucy, you've done something wonderful because I have never had fun with my kid like this. It's powerful. Like I am learning how to play. I'm sorry, I just don't want time to run out.
No, you're good. So you've given the opportunity not only for parents to be involved and be connected, but you're encouraging a lot of those soft skills of following simple directions, multi-step directions, attention span. You're using a lot of OT with lots of sensory output.
Exactly.
So you're hitting a lot of different areas and seeing such positive impacts, not only with the kids, but with the families as well, which is so cool. So can you tell us a little bit about any kind of action steps that you could share with our teachers and our listeners to make sure that we can incorporate even more adaptive physical education within our daily schedule?
Yes, I think this could be a program that any school or teacher with, motivation to have the kids moving, and have some sort of extracurricular activity that they know cannot be easily found, for those who have, who have a higher, how can I say, rate of difficulty in certain areas, socializing, or could be movement, could be focusing. They cannot be incorporated into a regular, let's say, soccer class, or I don't know, any other sports that are offered for neurotypical kids. So anyway, many schools have spaces that could be used, like the gym. And you know how in many schools there are after-school programs that maybe a teacher promotes, or it's a small organization that takes sports, kind of like to different areas or different counties, and they do this but 3 months at a time, and then they have like their summer program and stuff like that. If this could be a habitual thing, in a district or an area or a school, promoted by the special education teachers who understand all these needs, who understand the benefits of putting kids together, putting parents together that are going to be just more relaxed and more willing to work on these skills, because they know that their kids need them, and they might not be involved in the instructions after therapy. You know what I mean? The homework you take home after therapy, because they work all day, or because they are just in that process and they are not fully accepting or understanding the diagnosis. We don't go to the class and talk about autism. We don't talk about therapy. We just go to a class where we're going to move and have fun and take turns and improve our abilities and have fun time with our kid for an hour. And then we see the results. We see them, happy when we say, hey, we're going to Activo, we're going to sports class. And they just smile. So many are nonverbal, like my son again. And I see the change in his face when I say, let's say, let's go pick up your sisters from school. Get into the car. We have to do the car lane, or the carpool, or we're going to this class, and I show him his uniform, because of course we printed t-shirts, and now we have t-shirts for everybody that is taking the class. But any teacher with motivation to have their kids moving and motivate them to basically to live done, and I don't want to be dramatic, but I am going to tell you one very clear example of this. One of the oldest kids that has signed up in our classes, and now I want to point this out. We have so many that we have done age ranges, right? So ability could be dispersed, so could be doesn't have to do with age, but size. I don't want to have a 17-year-old with a 4-year-old in a class where they can just slide and fall. So we've done age ranges like from 4 to 6, and then 7 to 10, and then 11 and up. So we have a 17-year-old who came with his mom, and the mom was just pushing him on a wheelchair, because this kid has gone to special schools all his life. He's done only therapy. He doesn't have a father at home. It's only his mom and his younger sister. And he had basically no motivation to move, no motivation to walk, no motivation to go anywhere. And the first day that he came to class, mom pulled him out of the wheelchair and pushed him, almost every step he would take, it was because mom was, moving one leg in front of the other and saying, son, you can do this. This is fun. This is different. You can do this. And again, I don't want to be over dramatic, but this is a real example. By the third class, he was walking on his own, and he was smiling and drinking water and, lifting his arms, which he hadn't done in, like months or maybe years.
That's amazing.
Again, this is an extreme example, but what happens with a life of only therapy and not bonding with other kids your age, and not having a space where you can say, I want to go to this class, I want to go to my sports class, I want to go see my friends, it really makes a difference. And when I think of all these kids that have started now at 4 or 5 or 6, and I think, wow, if we continue 10 years from now, they'll have a team of friends, with which they have been doing sports for 10 years. Can you imagine that? That's just amazing. And from there, we've done, like family meetings, and now we're doing parties, and now gatherings with moms and dads, and more like social things, but
Mm,
what has made the huge difference in their
right.
development and their mood, their motivation has been the sports program.
That's awesome. So very cool. So I think that a lot of times we kind of overlook some of those little tasks that we give the kids that they can find so much growth in, and see kind of those compounding of celebrating little wins all along the way. And I think you've given some great examples about that, and making sure that we create that positive experience, even with physical education, and get them moving. So is there anything else you wanted to share about with the Club Activo, or with the listeners, or anything you would maybe like encourage a younger version of yourself when getting started with this?
Well, if anybody is interested in contacting me about perhaps starting a program or finding out more about the details or about how we make it work financially or anything about that, I am more than happy to tell them everything that they need to know that might help them. Although my English now is worse than ever, I lived in the US for 16 years. So I can write pretty well and I can
Awesome.
help them if they write me in English. If they write me in Spanish, of course, we'll go a little faster.
Nice.
But I have no reserves in telling them about the profile of the teacher that I have, who's now the coach, what his curriculum is, how we do the class, how we promote the Activo, which really is worth of mouth, because when you have something that works, people tell their friends and their friends and friends, everybody finds out. I've had therapists and psychologists call me and ask me if they, how can they have their own clients in practice join us, because they think this is so cool and they wish they could do it, but they are psychologists and they're therapists and they don't have the time. But anybody who's interested in starting something like this, or wants to know if there is something similar, because there is a sports for autism program in Florida, for example, and it was part of my inspiration. Of course, I said, if they can do it, I can do it too. This is not soccer, but this is again, it's like a physical education class. And there is physical educator who has focused on autism for years now, who's in Argentina, and he has many followers on Instagram, and he talks about autism all the time from the movement perspective, from the health perspective, from the sports perspective, and his focus is on play, and he does programs year round. He's also one of my inspirations. So there are people who do it. I just recently found surf program for kids with autism in El Salvador, which is a small country in Central America, and they are, touching the water and, laying down and standing up and just, again, moving and having fun. So anybody who's interested in starting a program and finding out more, please contact us. This is Club Activo, which is kind of like the active club, right, of autism.
Yeah.
We are here in Mexico,
Yeah.
but if God gives me time, I will be creating more. We are now in contact with 2 cities here in Mexico who already have coaches who have experience with disability and are interested in starting the program. And the parents are wanting to start it. So if we have one coach and one parent, we can get started anywhere in any city. So
Awesome. Well, we'll link all of your information in the show notes for
thank
today's
you.
episode, and we'll just make sure and have that all ready for any listener who wants more information so they can connect with you. But as we kind of finish up this episode, is there any like particular item or maybe school supply that always brings a smile to your face?
I think it is still a good old notebook.
Uh-huh.
I love the, like the modern projectors and the boards and all that, but I'm more like old school, and I love like my pencil and my pen and my notebook, and I'd rather write my notes than, digitally cut paste or use my cell phone. So yes, like doing it by hand still brings me joy.
I love it. Awesome. Well, tell us again where our listeners can connect with you. And again, we'll list it all in the show notes. But Lucy, it's been a pleasure chatting with you today and just learning from you and hearing the passion of your journey and how you're making such a huge impact, not only in Mexico, but all around the world. So let us know again where we can connect with you and find you. So yeah,
Yes.
go ahead and do that.
So we have our only social media is Instagram, because we can show wonderful videos of the kids doing the actual class, different ages from 3 to 17. And now we're opening a group for 20 plus. So it is on Instagram, Club Activo Autismo. You have to write it in Spanish. So it's the same word as autism with an O at the end. So we'll write it in the show notes.
Yep.
And the website is exactly the same, www.clubactivoautismo.com.
Awesome. Well,
Yes.
again, yeah, we'll definitely link all of that so they can find it easily, and they can definitely contact you and reach out. We'll link all of that. But again, Lucy, thank you so much for taking time just to chat with us and teach us and educate us more about this. And it's made such an impact already. And I can't wait to see and watch you continue to be successful in this area.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for doing this. I know that many people benefit from your program, and it is wonderful to have someone like you taking the time to interview us all with different ideas, so we can, make a better world, basically.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, thank you again.
Gracias.